Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest helping business owners to build and keep their wealth. Serial entrepreneurs with 30 plus years experience in maximizing value, asset and protection, and finance. No other than Mr. Craig Morningstar, and also the author of the book, The Rudolph Factor. Welcome,
Hello,
welcome, Mr. Craig.
thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Great.
Yes, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. 35 years of serial entrepreneurship. You learn a lot, and you learn a lot about people, and you learn a lot about business. You put those together, and you can find amazing things with just a little bit of a different perspective on how to see things. And the Rudolph factor goes into that.
Mm-hmm. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Craig. Thank you for sharing your Rudolph factor. To use the Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, as a central metaphor beyond the obvious bright light, what is about Rudolph's specific story of the best encapsulates the type of innovator you are describing, Mr. Craig?
There are employees and there are entrepreneurs, and then there are the unique people that I refer to as intrapreneurs. They are an entrepreneur inside of companies. And what those folks do, they see things differently. They see opportunities, the land of possibilities. They enjoy what they do. They're really good and sometimes using the Rudolph thinking. They end up in the world of project management or misfit toys because they see things, and the things they see create sustainable, competitive advantages that oftentimes other companies are not able to replicate. So what the Rudolph Factor book is about is it's really written for three audiences at the same time. It speaks to the CEO of the company. How do you find these people? It speaks to the Rudolphs that are inside of almost every organization, and it speaks to the middle management level of don't fear these folks, embrace these folks, empower them and enable them, and they will find unique things inside of your company because they are intrapreneurs. And in a nutshell, it's a culture by intention, not by accident. So the power of intention, when it's for culture, when it's for developing a business, when it's for taxes, when it's for sales, when it's for lots of different things, the power of intention gets amazing results, which is usually better than accidental.
A better results indeed. And Mr. Craig, was there a specific real world event or a case study that crystallized for the concept of the Rudolph factor and made you think this needs to be a book?
Was actually at a conference with my co-author Cindy Lauren, and the name of the conference, this is not a joke, it was How to Fire Your Friends. And I was asking the presenter at the time, and that's the name of the book, by the way, How to Fire Your Friends. And I was asking questions of the speaker at the time, and Cindy got interested in the questions and some of the answers that were coming back. She came over, we sat down, she came out to my office where I had a large number of people, and those people that I had in the office were retired CEOs and retired senior level managers and directors, and she kept seeing the people kind of come and go. It was really a free flowing, creative environment. And she asked me, "So who are these people?" And so I started not by name, but by life experiences. And she said, "How do you organize all these people like this? How do you get them to work together? It must be like herding cats." I said, "No, we have an intentional culture. Everyone is indoctrinated into that culture, not by accident, with intention. They all get to play in the same sandbox, which is exercising their creativity, and these folks were all retired. So by giving them opportunities to collaborate in a hyperactive environment, and it was a safe environment, working with hundreds of other business owners, they found solutions that they would have never found on their own. They found them collectively, and then they deployed those with hundreds of business owners. Everybody loved it. And from that, Cindy said, I think we got a book here. Let's figure it out. And that's what happened.
Wow, interesting, Mr. Craig. And how do you distinguish a true Rudolph, a constructive, a driven innovator, or for someone who's simply a disruptive maverick or a misfit who does not align with the company goals?
Yeah. Oftentimes the Rudolphs go from one company to the next to the next. That's one of the ways to identify them. They bounce around a lot. Sometimes they've been the entrepreneur, then they go back inside of the company and be an employee. They move back and forth, and they don't know what's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with them. They simply haven't found the right place yet. Um, so those cultures that are set up to embrace them and empower them get all the benefit. And for the Rudolphs, they find their home. And when they find it, just amazing things happen. And it can be in manufacturing, it can be in healthcare. You also, once someone's aware of the existence of Rudolphs, just the concept of it, that these people connect the dots faster, that others don't even see the dots. Once you know what a Rudolph is, and once a business owner knows what a Rudolph is, they're extremely easy to find, and you actually start hiring them by intention.
Yes, I like that. By intention, the book argues that innovation is a system, not a single event. How does a Rudolph individual fit into and activate that larger system within a company?
That's an interesting one. So the Rudolphs have to be careful because it has to come from the top. So oftentimes, Rudolphs are the ones that are going to write the letters or the emails or leave the voicemails for the CEOs of the companies. And they're going to bypass the middle management folks because they keep bumping heads with them. So that doesn't work. And sometimes the CEOs have an open mind that, wait a minute, there's something else here. There's something else behind this. Let me have a conversation with that person and see what's going on. Um, so that's how Rudolphs do it. And sometimes I've known Rudolphs. I get communications from literally Rudolphs around the world. And they tell me the story of I just started writing letters to CEOs of different companies about things that I saw with their company as a customer. And sometimes those CEOs pick up the phone and say, hey, would you like to come work here? I've appreciated the content that you're sending over to us. So Rudolphs are unique. Oftentimes they're fearless because they have everything to gain and very little to lose. And CEOs, they have a lot to gain and very little to lose when they create the right environment.
Mister, tell us. You say Rudolph often don't look or act like a traditional high potential employees. What are
Mhm.
the top or two or three most counterintuitive signs that a quiet person in the corner might be a brilliant latent Rudolph, Mr. Craig?
They are often not quiet. They've learned to be cautious.
Hmm.
And you can see their mind thinking, but they're holding something back. So when they're in a meeting, oftentimes when they're new to the organization, they're the first one to put the ideas up there. Then over time, they learn that culture might be constraining or it might be a culture where they can flourish. So they adapt to that. And the positive cultures, they stay around in those. versus the other ones, they go on to the next company and the next company, but they don't know why. They just know it didn't feel right. So because it didn't feel right, they move on to that next company. And eventually, usually after five, six, seven companies and making job hops, they start to realize they need to find something that has the right culture for them to succeed.
Mr. Craig, how do you prevent the Rudolph factor from becoming just a buzzword where one or two innovators are celebrated, but the broader culture remains hostile to new ideas?
Excellent question, Daniel. Um, with that, it ties obviously to the culture. It's that culture of intention. And it's not just about the one or two star players that are in the organization. So when a when a Rudolph type of organization, whether they know it or not, when they have a culture by intention that works to support Rudolphs, they have an internal language. They have jargon, they have phrases, they have frequent internal meetings. They oftentimes will have a flat organizational structure instead of the traditional multi-layered structure. So there are things that Rudolphs can look for, and there are things that senior leadership can do to help facilitate that optimum structure. And if you think about it like a sports team, do you want one or two star players, or do you want an entire team of excellent players? So, in a positive business culture where Rudolph flourished, as well as the really unique folks, it's about raising the tide that raises everybody, not just the one or two.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And Mr. Craig, nurturing and burning out. Rudolphs are often intrinsically motivated and can burn themselves out. How can leaders channel their passion productively without exploiting their drive?
Oftentimes, Rudolphs will burn out because of the energy they literally have to expend fighting the organization. What oftentimes motivates a Rudolph, it's not necessarily the dollar amount, it's not the praise amount, it is being able to leave their fingerprints or hoof prints, and they get to see the different things that they've been able to influence. So, where you bring them together in a group and you let them work on things in a group, you really get a significant multiplier, and that keeps those folks energized, keeps them engaged, gives them new ways to think about things, and it reduces the burnout. So in one way, where they're by themselves, they're often just literally fighting the organization, not a physical way, but just in a mental way. So they're spending a lot of energy and not getting anywhere. Versus senior management brings those folks together in a group and they feed off of each other. They typically don't burn themselves out. They actually accelerate and multiply what they're able to do and what they're able to deliver.
Mr. Craig, cultural transformation. If Rudolphs are naturally present in most organizations, what are the most common elements of corporate culture that systematically suppress their bright light and which is the hardest to change?
The opposite of a flat organization. There's literally so many layers that the middle management that's between those layers, they're in a go along, get along mode. They're worried about their own employment, their own existence, their own paychecks inside of that organization. And it goes up layer by layer by layer. So, from the CEO's perspective, they've got to push really hard from the top down to break through those layers to get things to change on the front line. The opposite of that, the Rudolphs simply can't get up. And the middle managers and the lower middle managers literally stifle all of the opportunities for innovation. And oftentimes the companies die a slow death. So, where that organization can be flatter, has fewer levels with a greater level of trust, and that comes from the top down, that allows the innovation and the thinking and the culture and the flat teams and different management structures, similar to Peter Drucker's management structures and methodologies, to break through and be more efficient. Um, yeah, flatter is better.
Flutter is better. So you talk about creating environment where it's safe to fail. In your research, what the company that truly embodied this principle do differently when a well-mentioned bright idea did fail spectacularly?
The Rudolph Factor book. So Cindy observed it inside of my organization. Organization at that time was called Synergy because it was synergistic. The organization that we looked at was an organization that had a lot of challenges in a particular division. And the book is about the C-17 division. They make the C-17 aircraft. It's Boeing out of Long Beach, California. And there were cost overruns, there were delays, there were quality control problems, just all kinds of things. And management from the top had the simple methodology and thinking of we're either going to change management, how we're doing things, or we're going to change management, the people doing the things and the people managing. So let's get the people together, both the mid level and the lower level and the frontline workers. Let's figure out what the problems are and let's work on these solutions together. And it comes from a very simple concept that's extremely powerful. And that is the people closest to the problem, the frontline employees, are usually the ones closest to the solution. As managers, all we have to do is listen, enable, and typically stay out of the way. And by doing that, things changed very quickly. They got their cost controls and their quality controls and just the cost overruns, the delays, all of that in a relatively short period of time, less than a year, got into alignment. And from there, they stayed on track with quality, efficiency, team involvement, um, and they make a wonderful aircraft. It's Boeing C-17.
A wonderful aircraft indeed. Industry agnostic, Mr. Craig. Are there a certain industries or types of work where the Rudolph factor is more critical to survive or survival, and the others where more traditional, process-driven model might still dominate?
Usually, the economic benefit is for organizations that have more levels, because literally they have too many levels. But the principles can be applied to a small business that might have less than 20 employees or might have 5 employees. Somebody in there is probably a Rudolph. Or you take the business that has between 50 and a couple hundred employees. There's probably 10% of that work population that's a Rudolph. And oftentimes they're not managers. You go up to organizations that have tens of thousands of employees, you have multiple levels or layers. So there's a greater economic impact with larger companies just because of the sheer size and the layers. But small companies can benefit from as well because the basic principles, management by intention, creating sustainable advantages that competition can't do, people closest to the problems are the one closest to the solutions, and a language within the business by intention. And that language reinforces every time someone uses that internal language, it reinforces the principles.
Mr. Craig, what an empowering answer indeed. And tell us, in today's battle of talents, is empowering your Rudolph ultimately one of the most powerful retention tools a company has? And why?
Oh, that was a great one, Daniel. It is one of the most powerful ones. Um, if you think of well-known Rudolphs, right? So Steve Jobs, he was a Rudolph. Bill
Yes,
Gates, he was a Rudolph. Berkshire Hathaway, he was a
yes.
Rudolph. It's people like that. They're at the top of the organizations, and they connected the dots that others don't see. They had a vision. It came to them in literally seconds or minutes, instead of days or months or sometimes even years. So where an organization can realize we've got these people, we need to find these people, and these are the people that submit ideas until they realize their ideas don't go anyplace. So there used to be that thing back years ago. Hey, there's a suggestion box. Well, you put the suggestions in, and nothing ever happens with it. Um, so there are ways that companies can find those, and that's for companies that want to be successful. They don't just want to keep existing. They don't just want to keep breathing and barely getting along. They are creative, and creativity is part of their DNA. Those are the ones that get the most out of the Rudolphs because it's part of their culture and it's not by accident.
Personal and forward looking, Mr. Craig, your own Rudolph. Can you share your story of specific Rudolph you have encountered in your career who taught you a profound lesson about innovation that made its way into the book?
That is an excellent one. I'm thinking through the hundreds of people that I've talked to over the years, and when we were doing the book tour or doing public speaking, it just and people would come up, say, "Hey, can you sign my book? By the way, I read this. This is me. Now
Hmm.
I know. I know who I am. You
Yes.
help me find it." And there's not one specific story that comes to mind or person because there's been so many, but it's consistent that when they read it and they get 15, 20 pages, and it's like, "Wait, this kind of seems like me." You get halfway through it, no, this is me. And then they get all the way through it. All right, so this is me. How do I find companies like this? My company's not like this, but I'll try. Um, and then they know who they are. And then they start to realize where they can be. And then they find the companies where they can optimize their talents, leave their fingerprints on all kinds of things. And that just enhances their opportunity for personal success and life satisfaction because they are that entrepreneur. So, Daniel, I wish I could give you a specific story, but there are just literally so many. And the consistency has been we're signing books, we're doing a speech someplace to some organization, there's hundreds of people in the audience. We take a break, and there's literally 20 Rudolphs lined up,
Hmm.
and they have a similar message. This is me. Now I know who I am. And that has been one of the most rewarding experiences coming out of writing the Rudolph Factor, is helping people realize who they are and how they can make a difference and enjoy everything they do.
Mr. Craig, what was the most surprising or unexpected discovery you made while researching and writing this book?
Wow. Um, we didn't think there was that many Rudolphs out there. We thought they were the unicorns.
Yes,
But
they're the
as we talked
unicorn.
to the people at Boeing and we talked to other companies, and other companies had us come in and speak, literally the Rudolphs came out of the audience. And we'd go and talk to people, and there's a couple hundred people in the room or more. And we thought, okay, there's going to be 5 or 10, maybe 20 here. No, there was a whole lot of them in there. So the Rudolphs are there. It's just bringing them off of the the land of misfit toys. It's Christmas time,
Mm-hmm.
and handling them and connecting them with opportunities. That has been the most revealing. There are so many out there. And Daniel, you think of people that are great at cooking. That's a Rudolph.
Oh, yes.
Locally here, there's a restaurant, gentleman. It's by Chef Joey. So it's X Restaurant by Chef Joey, and it's about the experience, the food, everything in there, and you just know that he's a Rudolph. So a Rudolph can be a sports player, it can be a business person, it can be a chef. There's lots of different things that a Rudolph can be.
So I'm a Rudolph, Mr. Greg. I'm a chef, so as well as a podcast host. If an employee reads your book and thinks, I am a Rudolph, but many company does not see it, what is your advice to them?
The way I've answered that before is send a copy of the book to your CEO. And three copies. Send a couple
Three
copies to the
carries.
board member.
Okay.
Because cultural change starts from the top. It just takes a little nudging sometimes from the bottom. And if they get it, and you include a nice letter in there. Hey, I read this book. I thought we could do something similar here. There's a lot of creative talents that I have, and I know other people have. We'd like to help the organization improve and create sustainable competitive advantages. Maybe we can benefit from more culture by intention instead of by accident. Accident gets you accidental results. Um, Send it, buy a couple copies, send it to the CEO, see what happens. Reach out to the CEO, leave a voicemail, and then you
Yes.
step back and you kind of watch. And Rudolphs have to be patient. And from there, if it's not the right place or you're not getting the change that you're looking for, you make a decision. Do I want to stay here, or are there other opportunities here, or do I need to find someplace else where I can really enjoy my life and what I have to contribute to an organization, to society, and to the customers that we serve.
Mr. Craig,
So
before
that
we
was
wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and my Food 101 in sixth season this December, Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101, Review Music 101, fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101, second season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Craig, if the core message of the Rudolph factor could change one fundamental thing about how we lead and organize businesses in the next decade, what would you hope that change to be?
lead with intention and desired results, have expectations, don't lead by accident. Too often, leading by accident, um, the companies unfortunately don't last. Customers are sometimes disadvantaged, and the companies just exist and die. So, have an amazing company. Do it with intention, not by accident.
Mr. Craig Morningstar, thank you so much for sharing again your knowledge and wisdom to the world. I'm hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
The organization I have that works with companies that are stuffed full of entrepreneurs and Rudolphs is Enterprise Sage. We do business wealth navigation. Enterprise
Yes,
Sage.
yes, people, let's support Mr. Craig, the Rudolph Factor. Because if you support him, for sure, more and more and more empowering legacy will rise. So, Mr. Craig, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure being here. Have a wonderful day.
Marty Con people, see you